Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, awesome admins. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar on how you can customize Salesforce in a flash with Lightning. My name is Leanne Templeman. I am an admin evangelist here at Salesforce, which means I get to spend lots of time with you, our awesome admin community, working on the platform and working in Lightning. And I am so excited to be joined by one of our amazing product managers, Michael Gonzalez, who's responsible for some of my favorite features in Lightning. Thanks for joining us today, Michael Gonzalez.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me here. Happy to do a little bit of a deep dive with the app builder today.
So, since we do, have a product manager on the call, that means we're likely going to get to talk about some future technologies, which we're really excited about. It also means that you should make sure to make all purchasing decisions regarding Salesforce on technologies that are currently available. And I promise we're going to be spending a lot of time as well today on things that you can get into and build with immediately. So that's our forward-looking statement, which I'm sure you've seen before on our Salesforce webinars. And we want to hear from you, so please get social with us. We are on the Twitters at Salesforce Admins. There's no I in admin. And tweet us. Let us know that you're here. Let us know your questions or that you're joining the webinar with the hashtag AwesomeAdmin. We can also be found on Facebook at Salesforce Admins, and all of these webinars and other great videos are on our YouTube channel at Salesforce Admins. And if you love this webinar and you want to share it with some of your awesome admin friends and colleagues, this webinar will be recorded. So it will be posted to the YouTube channel that I just mentioned, and it will also be posted to the same page that you registered. And we want to hear from you if you do have questions about the content in this webinar. So as you have questions throughout the course of the webinar, please go to the admin webinar group in the success community. And don't wait till the end to ask your question. We have a lot of team members on hand from Salesforce Lightning App Builder experts that will be in that webinar group working hard to answer your questions throughout the course of the webinar. We will try to tackle some of those questions at the end of the webinar if time allows. If we don't get to your question live on the webinar, we will be working on answering it in the group. So, what are we talking about today? Today we are learning more about all of the things you can do to customize your Salesforce experience with Lightning App Builder, and specifically how you can build and customize Lightning pages and customize those record pages, so standard and custom object record pages, and we're even going to see a demo of how you can do that, customize your pages, control who can see them. We're going to be getting some insight into the roadmap, what's coming in the future for Lightning App Builder, as well as cover some resources. You can continue learning with Lightning App Builder and continue building with Lightning App Builder. And as I mentioned, time allowing, we will spend some time on question and answers from that webinar group. So let's get right into it. Michael, can you tell us more about customizing with Lightning App Builder and what that really means for our admins?
Absolutely, yeah. So the app builder is a tool that's been designed for admins, and the great part about it is that you're able to do these customizations without any code, which is what I'm going to show you today. So first off, have you ever wanted to rearrange the layout of a page? So here's the Salesforce Classic page. This is a standard opportunity page that comes out of the box. However, you can see that it's actually been customized to show the chatter feed on one side and the record details on the other side. Out of the box, once users start going in and they start populating a chatter feed, they get this big blank white space on the side. And so what we've done here is we've actually customized it in this classic view. And the way this has been done is with code. So this has required some visual force. It's required a developer to do. It's a quite expensive solution in terms of time and just overall cost.
And it's expensive.
Yep. Oh,
sorry, it's expensive in terms of time and initial cost, especially for those of us that might not have developers in our groups that have time and resources to allocate to it, but it's also expensive to maintain, right? It means that as an admin, you can't kind of continue to go and make changes to that visual force page as easily. So it's, you kind of have to set it and then, either go back and write more code or leave it as it is and not be able to incorporate maybe like new fields or new changes as your Salesforce grows.
Absolutely, yeah. As far as making customizations to this beyond what we see here, it's very difficult to do. And it really only gets done in one place. So if you want to scale this across multiple objects, for example, It's very difficult to do. It requires code. It's going to require a developer. So it doesn't scale so great. So this is the type of problem we actually set out to solve with Lightning. And the way that we do this is with the Lightning App Builder. So for those of you that haven't had a chance to use App Builder is what we call the WYSIWYG tool. What you see is what you get. As you open up Pages from Lightning inside of the App Builder, it renders it in real time, and you can actually start editing it and see exactly what your end users see. So I'll do a demo of that later on in the session here. But this is just a little bit of background on the builder itself. So let's go into how this technology works. So at the center of everything is Lightning Pages. And Lightning Pages, you see this in the area that's highlighted below. It's anything below the tab navigation. So that surface there where you see the record home for opportunities, that's the Lightning page. Each one of these Lightning page contains a template, which determines the core UX structure of the page itself. So in this case, you see a standard web layout. You have two columns. You've got a body on the left side, you've got a sidebar on the right side, and you've got a header and subheader. So that's the core layout, and that's the page template. So the things that go inside of these regions within the template are Lightning components. So you can see we've highlighted a few here. We have highlights panel, sales path, tabs, activities, news. And these Lightning components are really what delivers the experience. So Lightning components can do a lot of different things. They can surface data, they can visualize it as well. You can have Lightning components that show you charts, that even show you visual force pages. They can also do things like kick off workflows and processes as well. So there's a lot of flexibility and a lot of different use cases the Lightning components can be used for. And these are the pieces of the page where your end users interact. So going back, I mentioned the core sort of UX or layout of the page, and that's controlled by the page template. And so we have a lot of new page template options. So I showed you a two-column layout in that example. We have single column, and we can even have three-column layout options as well. So you've got a lot of flexibility in terms of the base layout provided by the page template. So you get a lot of choice there. And going a little bit deeper into Lightning components, we have an ecosystem of them that admins get to choose from when designing and customizing pages. So we have standard components, which are the ones built by Salesforce. So the ones that I showed in the example a couple slides ago were the ones built by standard components built by Salesforce. These are things like highlights panel, like path. These are ones that we provide. They're all configurable out of the box, and you can start customizing with them right away. The next set are custom components that are built by our customer developers. So these are components that get built internally, and they can solve use cases that our standard components don't solve. So you have more flexibility. You can actually build your own solutions in-house. And then finally, we have the App Exchange components. So these are components built by our partners from our App Exchange ecosystem. These can be part of an existing app package. They can be part of a standalone component package. There are over 750 App Exchange components available today. So you can go into App Exchange and you can start browsing them right away. I'll even show you how you do that within the App Builder. So let's talk about the pages and the specific use cases you can customize with App Builder. So there are three types of pages. We have record pages, which are the standard and custom object detail pages that all of your users interact with. We have home pages as well. So home pages are it's your landing page. The first time an end user opens up Lightning Experience, the first page they see is the home page. And then finally, we have app pages. These are pretty cool. The app pages are fully customized solutions that can be deployed on both desktop and mobile. Talking a little bit more about home pages. So home pages create a welcoming experience for your users. So out of the box, we have an org-wide default page, which is really focused on sales productivity. So for those admins out there that have gone out and enabled Lightning, the first page they see is this sales productivity designed homepage. What you can do with the app builder is you can actually customize that homepage with our tool. You can drag and drop components on there, and you can actually not only customize, but you can tailor it for other users in your org. So as soon as you go through the flow of editing the page, you can actually activate it for individual profiles, both custom and standard profiles. So if you have marketing users or IT users in your org that the sales default page doesn't make sense for, you can design a page that's specifically for them.
And Michael, this is something that I know as a former admin for a production org my users really, really wanted to be able to have a specific or customized homepage. But again, there was some limited customizations that you could do with Classic, but without code, I really wasn't able to deliver like a truly customized homepage for my users because I didn't only have sales users, right? We have users that, as you said, do a bunch of different job roles and might be service users or marketing users or project managers. And so this is something that, being able to customize this with clicks and with those standard components that you highlighted or any combination of components is so cool for a big request that a lot of us hear from our end users.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you have a lot more flexibility here in Lightning with homepage customization than you do in Classic. Next to record pages. So the nice thing about record pages is we design an out-of-the-box page, and a lot of it is just going to work with your existing customization that you've done in the page layout and compact layout editors. So things like the highlights panel, for example, where you see fields at the top, that's actually driven by metadata that's from the compact layout editor. Things like actions and the details where your core set of fields are presented, and the related lists, those are actually driven from your page layouts. So the nice thing is that when you open up Lightning, even with a default page, a default experience, you can actually tune those pages to work with your compact layouts and your page layouts that you've already pre-created. Additionally, you get the chance to open it up in App Builder, and you can customize the components on it. And then lastly, it's App Pages. So App Pages is a really nice solution to be able to build something completely custom that's deployable on both Salesforce One and Lightning Experience. So you can build a page once with one of our templates, and we'll figure out exactly how to make it look on phone, tablet, and desktop. You don't really have to worry about how components reflow on the page. We do all that work in the background. But this is a very powerful use case, and it's nice to be able to extend something across both mobile and desktop with just one single page.
And the Lightning app pages are so cool. I mean, the flexibility of what you can do with them and rolling out to your Salesforce One users is really powerful. And there's a difference between Lightning app pages and Lightning apps, which we just want to highlight here. So app pages, the right way to think about app pages is really as a page. So it's something that you're building with the Lightning app builder, with those templates that Mike is highlighting and is going to show you, using standard and custom components. And it's accessed via a tab. So it's a tab that you may surface in your Lightning app and have added to your Lightning app. Or it's a tab that maybe they access in their global navigation on Salesforce One, or their sidebar navigation on Salesforce One. But that's what a Lightning app page is. Now, a Lightning app is more comparable to a Salesforce Classic app. It's a collection of tabs. It's built in Lightning Setup App Manager, and your users are going to access a Lightning app through the app launcher. So just want to make sure I'm highlighting, we say app a lot at Salesforce. I want to make sure I'm highlighting kind of the differences here between a Lightning app versus a Lightning app page.
Yes, definitely. Thanks for covering that. We get that question fairly often. So record page customization. So we'll do a little bit of a deeper dive, and I'll talk about some of the flexibility you have with record page customization in Lightning. I'll actually follow it up with a demo too. But we know that record pages are the most common use case for Lightning customization. So what you can do with these record pages, you can actually design a custom record page and deploy it on a per app basis. So for example here, I've got the standard account page on the left side here. And this is our default look and feel. This is really designed for sales users. But like I mentioned before, if you have other types of users in your, let's say you have users that are in a service role, what you can do is you can create a Lightning app, and you can design a special account page for that app. So your service users will be able to use that, and they'll actually get information that you as an admin can configure in that page that's relevant for their job function. So for example, the one on the right you can see is an account record page, but we have some case information that's actually bubbled up to the top here. So that's going to help some service users go through, they'll look at the account information, and it'll help make them more productive and be able to serve the customer better. And the next, kind of the next level of granularity, so you can customize record pages, you can assign them to specific apps. And when we delivered that feature, a lot of our customers said, well, we use record types as a way to sort of control what people are able to see in the org and help tailor the experience for the role. So how are record types going to be supported with this customization? So in the spring release, we've delivered record type and profile specific pages. So admins, you'll have very precise control over record pages on a per app, per record type, and per profile basis. So you can be very specific about who sees what with these custom record pages. And I'll do a brief demo of what that looks like, that activation looks like.
And this is a really impactful change, I think, for admins, having the increased level of control. You said tailoring that experience, because I know a lot of us have users that are cross-functional and users that aren't, defined by one single role or profile or one job duty. And so being able to increase the degree with which you can tailor their Salesforce experience means a better experience for everyone. So you can say, here's what my marketing users should see, here's what my sales users should see, but this app level assignment is, in my opinion, so meaningful to say, hey, I want to tailor the experience based on what my users are doing. So are they in my service app? Are they in the project management app? What should the experience be when they're doing those different functions?
Exactly. So with that, let's do a demo of record page customization. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to customize the record page. I'm going to make a change here to show record details on one side, chatter on the other side. So just like that classic picture that I showed at the beginning of the slide deck here. And I'll also add a few extra tools to it to help make our sales users a bit more productive. So here we go. This is the out-of-the-box default record page for opportunities. And you can see I've got activity, chatter, next to it in the tab, and I've got details in another tab. What I want to do is I want to actually break this up. So details will be in the first tab, chatter will be in its own tab, and they'll always be visible on first load here. So the way to do that as an admin, you go up to the setup cog here, and you can drop down to this edit page option. So what you can do is you can open that up, and what edit page does is it opens up that page as you see it in App Builder. So remember when I mentioned it's a WYSIWYG environment, we don't put any placeholders in here. What you see is you see the live page exactly as your end users see it. You can go through, you can make customizations to it, and don't worry, you're not editing any data. All you're doing is really rearranging the layout of the components on the page and changing the properties of those components too. So the page loads up right here in the center. I'll do just a little bit of a zoom in so you can see that. So there's the page. You can see the activity is real data. You can see the chatter feed is real data as well. So you see exactly what your end users see. And the way you start editing this is really by just taking pieces of it, and you can start dragging and dropping it into different areas of the page. So let's do this. Let's pick details. And the first customization I want to make is I want to make details appear first. So I click details, and within that details tab, because that's what I clicked, I have this record detail component. And as you see here on the right-hand side, we've had some properties actually update. And so I want to point out here that this record detail, like I mentioned before, has the fields driven from your page layout. So if you've already created them in Classic, these are available. They'll show up on a list here. They'll show which one has actually been selected. And you'll have links to go out and edit them in the page layout editor. And then you can come back and see how that's reflected here in the App Builder. So let's make this details component appear first. So it's within this tab. And so once again, what I've done here is I've selected the tabs component. And you can see here, I've got a list of tabs here on the right-hand side. What I'll do is I'll simply grab details, and I'll drag and drop it to the top. And what that does is that makes that details tab appear first. Now I want to make details the default. Make details default, and there you go. So now every time the user opens up the page, details loads up first. So that's the first customization I made. I've been able to do that without any code, so it's pretty awesome. Next up, let's make that chatter feed appear here on the right side. So the way I'm going to do that, let's just go ahead and clear out this tab. I don't think I'm going to need it. So I just simply will click the chatter component. I click X, and that disappears. And I want to start getting rid of this tab. And maybe what I want to do is I want to add it to a set of tabs here on the right side. So let's add tabs here. Here on the left-hand side is a list of all the components that I can use to customize the page. And you can see here I have a standard category. Below that I have custom manage, which are components that are available from the App Exchange. and actually have been installed in the App Exchange. And then I have a link here to get more on the App Exchange. I'll show you what that looks like here in a moment. Let's make our customization here with a standard component. So let's take tabs. You can see I've got the tabs component. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab it from the left-hand side here, from the component palette. And I'm simply going to drag it into the page. So you can see as I drag it over to the page, different regions here highlight. These are the regions that are defined in that layout. And these are basically just drop zones where I can drop a component. So I've got it here in this narrow region. I'm going to drop it, and you can see tabs show up right away. So zero guesswork. So that tab, that by default, it's called related. Let's make a change here. Make a change to the tab, and let's call this chatter. So I simply highlight the tab. I'll click it, and then I get a list of all the available names here. I can pick from one of the standard ones, or I can even create a custom one. Let's pick chatter. Click done, and that's it. Pretty easy. And now I want the chatter component, and just like I did with tabs, I'll drag and drop it over here. And there we go. Now I've got my chatter feed on the right-hand side. So this is the customization that I set out to originally, right? I've got details on one side. I've got chatter on the other side. I haven't had to touch a single line of code. So it's pretty awesome. Really easy to do this. I mentioned before I want to add some tools to help make our reps a bit more productive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these tools into this other tab here. So let's rename details to something custom, and let's call this tools. And what I can do is I can start dragging and dropping components into this region here. It's got this news component, which is helpful. Let's say we want that to show up underneath this tools tab. So I simply drag and drop it to rearrange it there. And let's add some more. So a component that we have available today is a workflow component. So what this does is this will add flows to your Lightning pages. Simply drag and drop it. And what I do is I'll pick a flow here in the property editor. And these are flows that have been created with the visual workflow tool. So I'll select the flow that I want to show here. In this case, since it's an opportunity, let's make a deal support request. I can choose one of these other attributes to pass this record ID so there's actually context for this workflow component. Makes it a bit more powerful. And let's grab something from one of our App Exchange partners. Let's grab this draw loop one. And let's just drag and drop it below. And what that's going to do is that's going to actually generate a document and even post it to the feed. It's a pretty cool component. Oops, and I can see I made a mistake here. They're actually within chatter. I can solve that really easily. I can do it a couple of ways. Let's use a keyboard shortcut. I'm here on a Mac. I can use Command X. I'll pick Tools. I'll pick where I want to drop it. And then I'll paste it right here. I want flow to show up above. And once again, Command X, we can use keyboard shortcuts. Doesn't always have to be drag and drop. And once again, I can pick where I want that component to show up. And let's make one final customization. So I think this looks pretty good. Chatter on one side, tools on the other. I've got my flow component, my draw loop component, and my news component showing up. Let's take this related list down here. Let's actually move this over into its own tab here on the main step. I'll add one more. Once again, and here it is. It's just really simply adding tabs. Very easy thing to do. It's my third tab here. Top to bottom corresponds left to right. I'll select related, and I'll simply drag and drop that there. So I think this is looking pretty good. And once again, this related component, just if you saw, as I mentioned before, it's driven by your page layouts. And let's go through activation. So I'll hit save. I think this looks good. Activate. And now I've got my activation options presented to me. So I've got three options here. One is I can make this the org default. So this would be the default record page that that every account page gets as an end user goes through, as long as it doesn't have a custom override. App default, so I can say that for my sales app, I want this custom record page to show up. And app record type and profile, I want this to be pretty granular. I'll go through and I'll make my selections here. So Lightning apps, I want this to show up for the Cubic Sales app. Record types, so I want this to only show up for partners, for partner record types here. And for profiles. So all the profiles that I have in my org, you can see I've got a lot of them here. Got 83. are available for me to select from. So let's make this a system admin and a standard user. I'll click next. I get a chance to confirm this. So it says the sales app, the record type, the profile was using the system default, and that's using this new opportunity record page. I'll hit save and back. And we'll see that that custom page has been deployed. So I've successfully been able to do this. I've got details right here, chatter here, my tools underneath the tab. I've got a completely custom page, and I haven't actually had to touch a line of code yet. So pretty awesome. Go back to some slides.
That is so cool. I mean, I especially love using tabs to, how you're using tabs to really maximize your real estate and customize the look and feel of the page and put all of those components that are important to your users in the right place. Great demo.
Yes, tabs are very helpful. It's a great thing, and it's so easy to add them.
So we definitely want to hear, so I know I'm very excited about what's currently available in Lightning App Builder, and I've had a lot of fun building pages with it, but you've got some pretty exciting stuff on the roadmap as well.
Yeah, definitely. So we're doing a lot of work on the App Builder. We've had great response from our users so far, and we've, I think, built out a pretty solid roadmap based on that feedback. So some things that we're working on. So we want to bring that page layout editor experience in the App Builder. We want you to be able to edit fields and to be able to drag and drop field sections throughout the page. Just kind of like you do in the page layout editor, but we want to make it better, take advantage of the App Builder's WYSIWYG experience. We're also looking at page customizations for mobile. So today you can't customize record pages for mobile, but that's something that we're looking at doing down the line. And then finally, a feature that we're really excited about is being able to control pages dynamically. So this is really, really powerful functionality. So imagine that you can control visibility of components or even fields based on some set of criteria, whether it's criteria from the record data or whether it's criteria like context, like user profile base. So it's really key functionality that we're working on. And like I mentioned, I'm going to talk a little bit more about dynamic lightning pages. So this is something we want to deliver in a very near-term release. And like I said, this is just simply conditionally showing components on the page. So it's not only going through and making those page activations, but actually being able to specify, show me these components when, let's say the example we have here on the slide, when the opportunity amount is greater than 100,000. This is really powerful. We've heard feedback from the field that this would be awesome to have. This replaces a lot of functionality that record types are used for today, so it'll help make things a bit more efficient for admins, and something they're very much looking forward to.
So, yes, so that is, I mean, I know I'm very excited about the roadmap, especially, it's not just implications for admins, it's for developers that are out there building components and thinking about when those components are surfaced to end users. You're going to have even more flexibility around kind of the types of components you can build because you have more control over how you surface them or how you make them visible. And if you're excited about building these Lightning app pages, we've got some great resources for you. So if you want to start building custom home pages and you're not quite sure where to start, need some inspiration of example home pages, we've got a great blog that Jillian Bruce wrote around 3 home pages that she built in Lightning for different types of users. We also have Trailhead badges that tie to these skills. So if you want to learn more about how to build with App Builder, what Lightning apps are, go to Trailhead. It's a great resource for learning more about building in Lightning. And if you have questions as you're learning Lightning, as you're getting comfortable building pages, as you're experimenting with different types of pages you can build, the Lightning Now group on the Success community is a great place to see what others are building with Lightning and also ask questions of Lightning product experts. So with that, let's get to a couple questions. One question that we had come up was that they really enjoyed the webinar on App Builder, yay. But we had a question about Lightning app pages in mobile and whether or not those pages are accessible in Salesforce One offline mode. So I know that today Salesforce One or Lightning app pages are not one of the supported elements for Salesforce One offline caching. Is that something that's on the roadmap, or is there any future statements you can give us, Michael, around maybe Lightning app pages being supported offline in the future?
Yeah, I think that's really good. That's a really good question. Something that we're looking at longer term, not only those pages, but it's also making those components available offline, whether they're standard or custom. So it's something, it's definitely on a longer term roadmap.
Awesome. And we did get a question that I think you answered with the roadmap information that you shared with us, but some feedback around, I just want to reconfirm this, there's some feedback around it can be difficult going between Page Layout Editor and App Builder. And so just to reinforce, one of the things that you just showed and talked about was really bringing the Page Layout Editor and the ability to customize those fields to Lightning App Builder, correct?
Yes, definitely. So we want to integrate that Page Layout Editor experience into the App Builder, and there's going to be a lot of great benefits for doing that. We'll take advantage of the App Builder's conditional visibility functionality. It'll also help admins deliver more efficiently designed pages as well. So we've heard feedback they want flexibility to be able to break up sections of the record detail component and eventually relate a list to into different tabs. So that's something that's on our roadmap. It's up at the top of our list, and we are actively working on it. So yes, coming soon.
Here's a question that I think maybe we can unpack a little bit. So we got the question, is it correct to say that page layouts defines which all components will be displayed in details related lists, buttons, and record pages determines where they will be displayed? I think that's something that maybe we could unpack a little bit just to make sure we're being really clear about kind of how you can build pages and where you assign them.
Yes, so page layouts will determine which fields show up in the details component. They'll determine what shows up in the related list. It'll determine what buttons or which actions show up in the highlights component. And yeah, the record page customization that I showed with App Builder is determining the general layout of the page and where components are actually resting on it. So it goes beyond what the page layout and compact layout editors provide. It goes beyond the field level and is more about the general page layout and the UX architecture for it.
Right. And today, so if you do have page layouts and related lists you've customized today in Classic as admins, those will be represented in your record pages. If you go into Lightning App Builder, you'll see the related lists and the fields that you've defined for that object, for that object's record type, and then you can further define how it looks and maybe what additional components you're adding and how you're showcasing those components.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you spend a lot of time on your page layout.
Yeah, you can click through on the different components that utilize page layouts and compact layouts, like the related list component, for example. And in the property editor, you'll actually see the available related list. You'll see the one that's active, and then you'll see the other ones you've already created in your layout editor.
And for admins that are curious about that, really great way to get the look and feel of what if you do have, customized pages that you've spent a lot of time on their page layouts and you have a lot of related lists, go into, a really quick way to even just see what it will look like is to go into Classic Setup, Lightning Experience, and there's a button that says Preview in that Lightning Experience page, and you can click on that and see what all of your pages look like in Lightning and get that preview of how those page layouts are reflected in Lightning today. So that's something you can do in production, and you're not doing anything impactful to your production org at all. You're just getting a preview of it. So if you want to get a preview, go ahead and encourage everyone to do that today who is curious what their pages look like in Lightning. Great. So thank you so much, Michael, for joining us. And thank you all of our awesome admins that are on the call. Please let us know how you like this webinar, what you'd like to see more of with our survey. And these information from this webinar will be posted. And again, if you've got questions that didn't get answered throughout the course of the webinar, please go ahead and post them to the Admin Webinars group. And again, thank you so much, Michael, for that deep dive into Lightning App Builder. And thank you, awesome admins, for joining us.
Thanks for having me, and look forward to answering some of your questions on the group.